Hello there everybody, and thanks for joining me today. Well, today we've driven just a few miles eastwards along the Devon coast, and we're going to go for a little stroll around the beautiful little Devon coastal town of Budleigh Salterton. Hope you'll join me. Well, we started on the coast path just up by what they call Jubilee Field, which is on the coast path between Budleigh and Exmouth, and now we're just walking down the coast path. And in front of us is the edge of what used to be called the Rosemullion Hotel. It was knocked down a long time ago. It's now accommodation for elderly people, but what a place to live with a lovely view. Coming down to the beach here, these steps underneath us are called steamer steps. And in the old days, many years ago, there used to be a boat that used to go along the Jurassic coast and call in at all the different beaches and ports along the way, and it used to stop, used to pull up on the beach right down here. And so to this very day they're still called steamer steps. If you look into the distance, you can see a headland. That's Berry Head, which is just the far side of Brixham, on the other side of Torbay. And moving inwards from there, that's where we live. That's Teignmouth, and moving up towards Dawlish, and then just round this headland is Exmouth. So still not too far away at all. This is where the local fishing boats pull up. They've got quite a job pulling up on the pebbly beach here in Budleigh. It's quite steep, but they do use winches. I think they'd have to really, wouldn't they? The local active fishing boats are not here at the moment, but there's a couple of boats that go out regularly. If I remember right, they're E4 and E468. And when they've been fishing and they've got a catch, they'll come back up and pull up onto the beach, and then they'll set up a little table right next to the boat and put a little pirate flag up, and that means they've got fish ready for sale. And they'll start selling the catch, which has literally been swimming in the sea minutes earlier. How fresh is that? They do sea bass and crab claws and all sorts, whatever's out there at the time, and it's really beautiful. It's fresh. They'll gut it for you, they'll do whatever you like, and it's absolutely beautiful. All the fishing gear here ready for the guys when they come back. In the distance you can see Otter Head, at the head of the River Otter. Well, I guess the clue is in the name, isn't it, really? We'll be heading off there in a second. So I mentioned a few minutes ago that we used to come here pretty much every November, and also for quite often Christmas and New Year. And this is where we used to stay. And this is called Sea Cottage, for obvious reasons. There's the sea. There's the cottage. Had many happy holidays there. Felt almost like a second home. I think it's being used again as holiday accommodation now, but I guess a little bit expensive these days, but it's a really nice place to stay. We even sat there on that terrace one Christmas Day morning, having smoked salmon and champagne and being greeted by all the people as they walked past. Absolutely lovely. A mix of kayaks and fishing gear, and we're on to now what's called Marine Parade. Some very nice properties along here. If you fancy one of these houses, I think you're going to have to get saving. I think they're pretty much 7 figures for most of them, but what a place to live. It's lovely. So this little beach cafe here used to be called the Longboat Cafe, and now it's been taken over by Rockfish. Rockfish is a southwest-based chain of basically posh fish and chip restaurants, or posh fish restaurants, run by the Dartmouth-based chef Mitch Tonks. They've got branches across the Devon coast, and very nice. They're a little bit more expensive than your standard chippy, but I tell you what, the quality is superb. Now these sandstone cliffs here have a strange peculiarity. Even on a very calm day like this, and you won't pick this up on the camera, but if you listen to the cliffs, you can hear the sea in the cliffs. Yeah, so it feels like it's coming from the left and not from the right. But it's lovely, even on a calm day, but come here on a rough day and it's quite spectacular. This is my favourite bit of Budleigh, the Otter estuary. It's really a lovely place. You can see in the distance there the trees. We're going to take a walk up to the end there in a second. There's quite a few people down here today. It's very popular with bird watchers, and I'm wondering if maybe something rare has appeared in the estuary. And I'll tell you a little bit about the work they've done here. They've done a massive amount of work here in recent years, and we're going to go down there in a few seconds. But first of all, going to head off down here to what they call Donkey Turn. Now, why would they call it that? It is so peaceful here, and yet you're just a few steps from the town. This is the River Otter as it approaches the sea. And there you can see the iconic trees. Every picture of Budleigh Salterton, if it's going to typify Budleigh, it has to have those trees in it. They've been there for many, many years, and I hope they'll still be there for decades and longer to come as well. The Otter Head and the swans on the estuary there. So beautiful here. So this is what they call Donkey Turn. The reason it's called Donkey Turn, well, I guess you can work it out for yourselves. In the old days, when there was stuff going on here, more fishing down this end and things, they would bring donkeys with their load, or the cart maybe, and they bring them down to the end here, and that's where they turn round and go back the other way. That's simple really, isn't it? Here is the mouth of the River Otter and the Otter Head, and you can continue along the southwest coast path, if I can get my teeth in, along there. But to get from here to there, you've got to go all the way over there to the next bridge, which is about just short of a mile, and then cross over and then come down again. Down by the waterside, here's the swans having their lunch. The River Otter is a haven for birds. As you go further up, where you get into the wetlands, which I'll show you in a second, loads and loads of different birds, especially when they come in for the winter feeding season. I think probably only second in the amount of bird life to probably the estuary in this area. But always very popular. There's loads of people always with binoculars, telescopes, bird spotting books, and there's quite a few hides as you go up the river where you can sit and watch them in peace as well. So people have often said, if you love Budleigh so much, which I do, I absolutely adore Budleigh Salterton, why don't you live there? Well, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, house prices here very expensive, and for the standard of house that we have in Teignmouth, and Teignmouth's a lovely place, don't get me wrong, but for the standard of house that we have there, we'd probably get a flat, nothing more in Budleigh Salterton. It's very expensive, but for a good reason, because it's a beautiful place. But would we move here in the future when we get older? I think that's a distinct possibility. I would love to. I would really love to. But there's no mainline railway station here. You have to get a bus to Exmouth and then join the railway there. But even so beautiful here. It does have a bit of a reputation for being God's waiting room. But you know, I'm getting there. Getting there very quickly. So we'll see what happens in the future. But in the meantime, it's, as I say, it's only half an hour's drive away, so it's no problem to come here. It's absolutely lovely. Just one of many gorgeous places around this wonderful county of Devon, of course. So we found out what all these bird watchers are looking out for. Apparently there are some snow buntings which are down here on the riverbed in the mud, and they're quite rare apparently. Snow buntings would make a good name for a prog rock band, wouldn't it really? And as you can see, despite what Debbie, Harry and Blondie may tell you, the tide is not high, it's definitely low at the moment. But perfect for the birdies. So hello snow buntings. Right, so this is where everything has changed in recent times in Budleigh Salterton. This used to be the start, and it still is, of the path up the River Otter, which takes you up to Otterton and the wonderful Otterton Mill, which is a great place for lunch. Done that walk many, many times, but we're not going to do it today. But in recent times they've done a lot of work on the estuary here, and they've let basically the river overflow into what were fields, which were just very soggy wet fields, not much use for anything. And it's restored it to its natural wetlands. And as part of that they built this amazing new bridge which takes you across the estuary here. And then as we walk across here, you can see obviously the tide is out now, so it's mostly mud, but quite often it's full all the way across now here, and it's restored the natural wetlands. Many years of work by including a lot of volunteers, and it really is lovely. There's bird hides all the way up. There's even a little one right here at the start, and it tells you all about it. Isn't it lovely? What an amazing job. Doggy wants to be on the video, he wants to be a YouTube star. Now, believe it or not, until about 2 years ago, this was a cricket pitch. It was the home of Budleigh Salterton Cricket Club. And as you can guess, it regularly got flooded at high tide and when there was storms and stuff like that, and it really restricted how they could play. So when they decided to redo the estuary and let all the water back across, they rehomed the cricket club, and on the very far distance, if you can see that bridge in the distance where there's a car just going across, just behind there to the left is the new home of the cricket club, and they've got a state-of-the-art club there, and it's a very nice facility, and it doesn't flood anymore. And of course it leads all the bird life to enjoy this new wetland here. This is a famous spot here in Budleigh Salterton, the house where the painter Sir John Millais stayed back in 1870, and while he was here he painted a picture called The Boyhood of Raleigh, and he set it against this wall here, and it was a picture of Sir Walter Raleigh when he was a child. And of course Sir Walter Raleigh lived in nearby East Budleigh, that's where he was born and brought up. So we're going to take a walk through the town centre of Budleigh Salterton. As with everywhere nowadays, there's so many cars everywhere, they just get in the way and spoil the view, don't they? But it is still a lovely main street here. So we'll have a wander up the road, shall we? Maybe time to find something for lunch. It's the local Methodist church, and in the summer, during the daytime, they turn it into a bit of a tea room as well. So you can sit down here, have a nice tea or coffee and a bit of cake. Not bad at all. Very busy here today, but it is a sunny Sunday, and at this time of the year you've got to take advantage of it while you can, because you never know when the colder, wetter weather is going to arrive. But normally Budleigh's a very quiet town. Come here midweek and it's very, very peaceful. But today people have come out for a day out, and you can't really blame them, can you? Had many nice fish and chips from here over the years, and also many nice meals here in the Salterton Arms. Good to see it thriving again. It went through a bad time for a few years, but it sounds like there's live music in here at the moment. Yeah, sounds good. But I think we're just going to get a picnic and go and sit on the seafront. What do you reckon? Yeah, I think so. Down on the beach. The far side of this beach, would you believe, is especially for nudists. And no, I haven't tried it out myself. I wouldn't want to scare the seagulls or give them a good laugh. Anyway, there doesn't look like there's anybody. Oh, there might be actually in the distance. Good job I haven't got a zoom on this GoPro, isn't it, eh? But anyway, looking lovely out there. Look at that, just beautiful. Well, I think it's lunchtime, so I think that's a good point to wrap up today's video. Hope you enjoyed our little stroll around beautiful Budleigh Salterton here on the Jurassic Coast in East Devon. If you liked it, perhaps if you're listening or watching on YouTube, perhaps give me a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe if you feel like it as well. That would be great. I'll do another video again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.